plane shuddered through turbulence, and Marcus Tate gripped the armrest, his knuckles tight against the cold metal. A scream cut through the cabin's huma tray of scalding hot pasta crashed onto his lap, soaking his crisp white shirt and burning his skin. He looked up, stunned, into the eyes of the stewardess, who froze, her apology caught in her throat like a lie she couldn't sell. Marcus, a 38-year-old civil rights lawyer, was no stranger to microaggressions, but this felt different, deliberate, almost personal. The stewardess, Emily, a young woman with a practiced smile now crumbling, stammered, "Oh, I'm so sorry, sir." But her eyes darted to the side, avoiding his gaze, and her tone carried a hint of irritation, as if he were the one at fault. Around them, the cabin fell silent, passengers turning in their seats, their stares a mix of curiosity and judgment. "An accident?" Marcus said, his voice low but sharp, cutting through the hum of the engines. He stood, the ruined meal dripping onto the floor, his 6-foot frame commanding attention. "You tripped over nothing, and this lands on me? Explain that." His words weren't loud, but they carried the weight of a man who'd spent years fighting battles in courtrooms and boardrooms, battles where the stakes were always higher for someone who looked like him. Emily's face reddened, her hands fumbling with a napkin she offered half-heartedly. "It was a mistake, okay? I'll get you a new shirt when we land." Her voice was defensive, edged with something that made Marcus's jaw tighten. He'd heard that tone before, dismissive, impatient, as if his anger was an inconvenience. Across the aisle, a man in a tailored suit, Richard, mid-50s, with a face hardened by years of unchallenged privilege, snorted loudly. "Sit down, man. It's just food. No need to make a scene." His words dripped with condescension, and a murmur of agreement rippled through a few nearby passengers. Marcus felt the familiar sting of being reduced to a stereotype, his pain dismissed as overreaction. But he didn't sit. Not this time. "A scene," Marcus said, turning to face Richard, his voice steady but laced with fire. "You think I'm upset about a shirt? This isn't about pasta. It's about respect, or the lack of it." His eyes locked on Emily, who now clutched the empty tray like a shield. "You didn't just spill food. You spilled your bias, and I'm not cleaning it up for you." The cabin felt smaller now, the air thick with tension. A young woman a few rows back, Sarah, a college student with a notebook open on her lap, watched intently. She'd been scribbling notes for a sociology paper on systemic racism, and this moment felt like it had been ripped from her textbook. She leaned forward, her heart pounding, sensing the weight of what was unfolding. Emily's eyes darted to her supervisor, a stern-faced woman named Linda, who was now making her way down the aisle. "Sir, please," Linda said, her voice calm but authoritative. "Let's keep this civil. We'll compensate you for the inconvenience." "Inconvenience?" Marcus's laugh was bitter. "You think a coupon fixes this? You think I don't see the looks, the assumptions, every time I board a plane? You think I don't notice how you skip over me for upgrades? Or how your smiles tighten when you see my face?" He gestured to the stain on his shirt. "This isn't an accident. It's a symptom." Richard stood now, his face flushed. "You're blowing this out of proportion. She said it was an accident. What, you think she's out to get you? Get over yourself." His words were met with nods from a few passengers, but others shifted uncomfortably, their eyes flickering between Marcus and Emily. Sarah, gripping her pen, felt her pulse race. She wanted to speak, to say something, but fear held her back. She'd grown up in a small town where racism was whispered, not confronted. But Marcus's words struck a chord, and she felt a pang of shame for her silence. Emily's voice cracked as she spoke. "I didn't mean to. I'm not racist." But her words faltered under Marcus's steady gaze. He didn't need to say anything. His presence was enough to challenge her denial. The truth hung heavy. Her carelessness wasn't just a slip of the hand. It was the kind of carelessness that came from seeing someone as less than, as unworthy of the same care she'd give to others. Linda stepped closer, her voice firm. "Sir, I need you to take your seat. We're preparing for landing soon, and this is disrupting the flight." Disrupting, Marcus said, his voice rising now, not in anger but in conviction. You want to talk about disruption? My whole life has been disrupted by people who think like you. People who think a spill, a slur, a side-eye is no big deal. You don't get to tell me to sit down when I'm standing up for my dignity. The plane jolted again, a reminder of the altitude they were all trapped at 30,000 feet, with nowhere to escape the truth. Sarah's pen moved now, scribbling furiously, capturing every word. She felt a spark of courage ignite within her. This wasn't just a moment. It was a reckoning. Richard, emboldened by the murmurs of support, stepped into the aisle, his finger jabbing toward Marcus. You're making everyone uncomfortable. This isn't the place for your crusade. Save it for the courtroom, lawyer boy. The last two words were spat with venom, and a gasp rippled through the cabin. That was the line. Marcus's eyes narrowed, but he didn't flinch. You don't know me, he said, his voice low and lethal. But I know you. I've met you 1,000 times in boardrooms, in court, on the street. You think you can talk over me, shut me down. But not today. Sarah couldn't stay silent anymore. She stood, her voice trembling but clear. He's right. This isn't just about food. I've seen it too, the looks, the assumptions. It's real, and pretending it's not is why nothing changes. Her words surprised even her, and she felt the weight of every eye in the cabin turn toward her. Richard scoffed, but his confidence wavered as more passengers began to murmur, some nodding in agreement with Sarah. An older black woman, seated near the back, spoke up, her voice steady. I've been flying for 40 years and I've seen this too. It's not new, but it's time it stopped. Emily's face crumpled, tears welling in her eyes. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. Linda, sensing the shift in the cabin, placed a hand on Emily's shoulder. Go to the galley, she said quietly. Emily fled, her footsteps quick and unsteady. As the plane began its descent, the tension didn't dissipate, it grew. Marcus remained standing, his presence a challenge to everyone watching. He wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting for every person who'd ever been dismissed, diminished, or dehumanized. When the plane touched down, the cabin erupted in a mix of applause and uneasy silence. Marcus sat, finally, his chest rising and falling with the weight of what had just happened. Sarah, still clutching her notebook, met his eyes and nodded slightly, a silent promise to carry this moment forward. But the story wasn't over. As passengers disembarked, Emily waited at the gate, her face pale but resolute. She approached Marcus, her hands trembling. I need to say something, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I see how I messed up. I want to make this right. Marcus studied her, his expression unreadable. Making it right isn't a one-time thing, he said. It's a choice you make every day. Start today. As he walked away, the weight of the encounter lingered, not just for him, but for everyone who'd witnessed it. The wooden tray table, with its small sign reading "Justice Lands at Dawn," seemed to glow under the cabin lights, a quiet testament to the truth that had been spoken. The airport terminal buzzed with the chaos of arrivals, but for Marcus Tate, the world had narrowed to the woman standing before him. Emily's eyes were red, her hands twisting the hem of her uniform as she struggled to find words. I've never been called out like that, she said, her voice shaking. I didn't realize how it looked. I want to learn. I want to do better. Marcus's expression softened, but only slightly. He'd heard promises before, well-meaning words that dissolved under the weight of habit. Learning starts with listening, he said. Not just to me, but to everyone you've overlooked. It's not about feeling bad. It's about changing what you do next. He adjusted his bag, the stain on his shirt still glaring under the terminal's harsh lights. You've got my card. Use it if you mean it. Emily nodded, clutching the business card he'd handed her. As Marcus walked away, he felt the eyes of other passengers lingering, some with admiration, others with unease. Sarah, the college student, lingered nearby, her notebook tucked under her arm. She caught up to him at the baggage claim, her steps hesitant but determined. "Mr. Tate," she said, her voice steadier now.
I'm Sarah.
"What you said up there, it hit me hard. I've been writing about this stuff for school, but seeing it, hearing it, it's different. Can I ask you something?" Marcus raised an eyebrow, sizing her up. She seemed earnest, her eyes bright with a mix of curiosity and guilt. "Go ahead," he said, leaning against a pillar as travelers swirled around them. "How do you keep going?" she asked. "All the time dealing with this. Doesn't it wear you down?" He exhaled, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "It does. Every damn day. But you don't get to choose the world you're born into, you just choose how to fight it. Some days it's a courtroom, others it's a plane. You pick your battles, but you don't stop." Sarah scribbled his words in her notebook, her pen moving with purpose. "I want to help," she said. "I don't know how yet, but I want to." "Start where you are," Marcus said. "Write what you saw. Share it. People need to see the truth, not just read about it in a textbook." He glanced at his watch. "I've got a meeting. Stay curious, Sarah." As he walked toward the exit, the weight of the flight lingered. But something else stirred in him, too, a spark of hope. Sarah's questions, Emily's shaky promise, they weren't solutions, but they were cracks in the armor of apathy. Meanwhile, Emily returned to the airline crew lounge, her mind replaying the confrontation like a broken record. Linda, her supervisor, was waiting, her arms crossed. "You okay?" Linda asked, her tone softer than on the plane. "No," Emily admitted, sinking into a chair. "I messed up, Linda. I didn't mean to, but I did. He was right, I wasn't careful. Not with him." Linda sighed, sitting across from her. "This job's tough. You're juggling 100 things, and mistakes happen. But you need to own this one. You saw how the passengers reacted, some backed you, some didn't. That's the world we're in. You decide what you do with it." Emily nodded, her throat tight. She pulled out Marcus's card, staring at his name. "He's a lawyer. Civil rights. I looked him up on the passenger list. He's important." "Doesn't matter if he's important," Linda said. "He's a person. That's enough." Back at the terminal, Richard, the man who challenged Marcus, was on his phone, ranting to a colleague as he waited for his driver. "Guy made a whole scene over nothing," he said, his voice carrying. "Spilled food, big deal. Now everyone's acting like he's some hero." A woman nearby, the older black passenger who'd spoken up on the plane, overheard him. She stepped closer, her eyes sharp. "You think it's nothing because it's never happened to you," she said, her voice calm but unyielding. "That man stood up for himself. Maybe you should think about why that bothers you so much." Richard's face reddened, but he didn't respond. He turned away, muttering under his breath. But her words lingered, a challenge he couldn't shake. Days passed, and the incident rippled outward. Sarah posted about it on X, her thread detailing the confrontation with raw honesty. She didn't name Marcus or Emily, but her words were vivid. The tension, the silence, the way Marcus's voice carried both pain and power. The post went viral, sparking heated debates. Some praised Marcus's courage. Others called him confrontational, accusing him of escalating a minor issue. Sarah read every comment, her heart racing as strangers shared their own stories of bias, of being unseen, of standing up. Emily, too, saw the post. She sat in her apartment, scrolling through the replies, her stomach churning. One comment stuck with her. "It's not about the food. It's about what's behind it. We all see it, every day." She emailed Marcus that night, her words clumsy but sincere. "I'm sorry. I'm reading, listening, trying to understand. Can we talk?" Marcus didn't respond right away. He was back in his office, preparing for a case against a company accused of discriminatory hiring practices. But when he saw Emily's email, he paused. He didn't trust her intentions yet, but he recognized the effort. He typed a brief reply, "Coffee, next week. You pick the place. Come ready to listen." The meeting was awkward at first. Emily fidgeted with her cup, her apologies spilling out in a rush. Marcus listened, his face unreadable, letting her speak. I grew up in a small town, she said. Everyone looked like me. I never had to think about this. I'm trying now, but I don't know where to start. Start with the people around you, Marcus said. Ask questions. Read. Don't expect a pat on the back for it. It's not about you feeling better, it's about doing better. Emily nodded, her eyes downcast. I want to. I'm starting with this. She slid a folded piece of paper across the tablier letter to her airline, requesting mandatory bias training for staff. It's not much, but it's something. Marcus read it, his expression softening. It's a start, he said. Keep going. Weeks later, the airline announced new training protocols, citing recent passenger feedback. It wasn't perfect, and Marcus knew it wouldn't erase decades of systemic issues, but it was a step. He saw Sarah's name in an article about the incident, her sociology paper now published in a university journal. She'd quoted him, "You don't stop." Those words became a mantra for her, and for others who read her work. Richard, meanwhile, couldn't escape the memory of the flight. The older woman's words haunted him, and he found himself avoiding the news, avoiding X, where the story still circulated. But one night, alone in his office, he searched for Marcus's name. He found articles about his cases, his advocacy, his relentless fight for justice. For the first time, Richard felt a twinge of doubt, not enough to change him overnight, but enough to make him question. As months passed, the incident faded from public view, but its impact lingered. Emily joined a community group focused on racial equity, her perspective shifting with every meeting. Sarah's paper inspired a campus-wide discussion on systemic bias, and she began mentoring younger students, encouraging them to speak out. Marcus continued his work, carrying the weight of every battle, but also the hope of every small victory. The wooden tray table from the plane, with its sign reading "Justice Lands at Dawn," was quietly removed by a crew member, but its message lived on, etched in the minds of those who'd seen it, a reminder that change begins with confrontation, with courage, with the refusal to stay silent. What's right, what's wrong, what's just? Share your thoughts because the conversation doesn't end here.